A working man owned this steel toolbox, and you can tell by the handle. His son has it now. Maybe you do. Worn down to bare metal because his father's hand closed around it the same way 10,000 times. And that is what a hand does to steel if you give it enough years. The man was named Raymond Dolan. He was a millwright, and that box was his for 35 years. He carried it to the mill in the morning and home again at night, and when something broke, he did not call anyone, and he did not drive to a store to buy a replacement. He opened the box. There was almost nothing in his world he could not mend. A door that stuck, a radio gone silent, an engine that would not turn over on a cold morning, a pair of boots worn through at the sole. He opened the box and he fixed it, and the thing lasted another 10 years. We inherited his world, the houses, the roads, the machines. Most of it traces straight back to men like him. But we did not inherit the box. Somewhere between his hands and ours, I stopped keeping the things that kept everything else alive. We were taught to look at a tool that had given 50 years of service and see something worn out, something to throw away, when a man like Dolan would have looked at the same tool and seen something just barely broken in. So I want to open his toolbox with you. 10 things that lived inside it. 10 things almost no man buys new anymore. And yet, 10 things that are probably sitting in a box like his in a lot of your garages right now, waiting. We are counting down to the one tool he trusted more than all the others combined. The one worn into the shape of his own hand. Number 10 is the humblest thing in the box and the reason everything else lasted. An oil can, the kind with the long thin spout and the little trigger, and a grease gun beside it. Dolan oiled what he owned, not when something started squealing, but on a schedule he kept in his head the way other men keep birthdays. A hinge, a chain, a bearing, a lock, a drop here, a pump there. None of it urgent, none of it interesting, and all of it the difference between a tool that died in 5 years and a tool that outlived the man holding it. We do the opposite now. We run things until they seize, and then we are surprised, and then we replace them. But here is the part worth hearing. If you have that oil can, from the actual one off his shelf, it still works. Oil does not expire. The can he filled is the can you would reach for today, and the next tool in the box did the same job for wood that the oil can did for steel. Number 9 is the hand plane. A block of iron and a blade, and a man who knew how to push it when a door swelled in the summer and stuck in its frame. Dolan did not live with it, and he did not replace the door. He took it off its hinges, laid it across 2 sawhorses, and shaved a curl of wood off the edge until it swung clean. A warped board, a drawer that would not close, a window painted shut for a decade. The plane fixed all of it quietly in an afternoon. A man today calls someone for that, or replaces the whole door and the frame with it, because the knowledge left before the tool did. But the plane did not leave. If his is in your garage, the iron in it is better steel than most of what you can buy new, and it will take an edge and hold it. You do not need to buy one. You need to find his. And the next thing in the box brought the dead back to life. Number 8 is the soldering iron. A radio in those years was not a sealed object you threw away. It was a thing with insides, and the insides could be reached, and a man with a soldering iron and a steady hand could reflow one cold joint and bring a silent setback to working order for another 15 years. Dolan did this at the kitchen table with the radio's guts spread on a towel, a television, a lamp, a toaster, the wiring in a wall. One joint, one touch of heat, and it lived again. Now the appliance goes to the curb whole, working in every part but one, because the one part cannot be reached and would not be cheap to reach if it could. We have made repair into something only specialists are allowed to attempt. But the iron itself does not care what year it is. Heat is heat. The one he owned will melt solder today exactly as well as it did then, and the next tool needed no power at all. Number 7 is the hand brace and bit, a drill with a crank, powered by nothing but the arm turning it. No battery to die in a drawer, no charger to lose, no cell that holds less charge every year, until one day it holds none. Dolan's brace bored a clean hole through oak the day he bought it, and it would bore a clean hole through oak right now in the hands of whoever ended up with it. Think about the cordless drill in your own house. You will not throw it out because the motor failed or the chuck wore down. You will throw it out because the battery stopped holding a charge, and the new battery costs nearly what a new drill costs. So you buy the drill. That is not an accident. We will come back to why it is not an accident. But the brace in the bottom of his box has no battery to betray it, which is exactly why it has lasted 3 generations and will last a 4th. And the next tool saved the very part most men now replace entire. Number 6 is the tap and die set. To a man who owned these, a stripped thread was not a death sentence for a part. A bolt with its threads chewed off, a hole that would no longer hold a screw. These were small problems with small solutions. The die cut a fresh thread onto a rod. The tap chased a damaged thread back to true inside a hole. Dolan could take a component that any modern shop would throw out and make it whole again in the time it takes to describe it. We discard the entire assembly over one bad thread. The whole bracket, the whole housing, the whole machine, because one small spiral of metal gave way and we have no means and no idea how to restore it. His set still cuts true. Hardened steel does not soften with age. But a man could own every tool in this box and still be losing a fight he did not start, because somebody in a hotel ballroom in 1954 had already decided how this would go. Let me step back from the box for a moment because the pattern matters more than any single tool inside it. Everything Raymond Dolan kept was built to be repaired, and at some point in the middle of his life that stopped being how America made things. This was not weather. It was a decision, and it had authors, and it had a name. The idea goes back to a 1932 pamphlet by a man named Bernard London, who proposed building products to wear out on purpose as a way to pull the country out of the Depression. But it got its name in 1954, when an industrial designer named Brooks Stevens stood up at an advertising conference in Minneapolis and called it planned obsolescence. He defined it as instilling in the buyer the desire to own something a little newer, a little sooner than is necessary. Our whole economy, Stevens said, is based on planned obsolescence. By 1960, a writer named Vance Packard published a book called The Wastemakers, arguing that the whole disposable system was built to make Americans wasteful, indebted, and permanently dissatisfied. And here is the part that should land hardest. They did not only teach us to throw away the cheap new things. They taught us to throw away the good old ones too. To look at a stone Dolan sharpened on for 50 years and see junk. That is the deepest part of the theft, not the money. The eyes. Number 5 is the saw set, and it is planned obsolescence you can hold in your hand. A handsaw goes dull with use. The teeth lose their edge and their alignment, and Dolan had a small tool that bent each tooth back to the right angle and a file that put the edge back on. A good saw kept this way lasted a lifetime, and then lasted his son's lifetime too. Go buy a saw today. The common one in every hardware aisle has what they call hard point teeth, hardened to stay sharp a little longer, and the same hardening means they cannot be filed. When the saw goes dull, and it will, There is no setting it and no sharpening it. You throw the saw away and you buy another. The tool was designed on purpose so the thing in Dolan's box could never be used on it, which means the old saw hanging in your father's garage, the one with the wooden handle, is worth more than the new one, not less, because it can be brought back forever, and the new one cannot be brought back at all. And the next tool kept a whole machine running on a Sunday. Number 4 is the points file and the feeler gauge. An engine in those years was a thing a man tended himself. The points wore and needed dressing. The gaps needed setting, and these two small tools did both. On a Sunday morning, Dolan would lift the hood in his own driveway, and by noon, the car that had been running rough started clean. He understood the machine because the machine was built to be understood. The car in your driveway is sealed. It speaks to a computer, and the computer speaks to a shop, and the shop speaks to you only in the language of the invoice. When the cost of the fix climbs close enough to the value of the car becomes the lot's problem, and a new loan becomes yours. These two little tools cannot tune that car. That is true. But they are not worthless for it. They are proof, sitting in your hand, that there was a time a man was trusted with his own machine, and they are worth keeping for that alone. And the next thing in the box kept a man standing in his own boots. Number 3 is the shoe repair kit. A cobbler's last, which is the iron foot-shaped form you fit the boot over, and all, some thread, some nails, a square of leather. When the sole wore through, Dolan resoled the boot at the kitchen table, and the boot that cost him a week's care lasted another 5 years. A good pair of work boots was a thing a man owned for a decade or more, because the parts that failed were the parts he knew how to replace. We throw the shoes away, not because the leather failed, the leather is usually fine, but because the sole separated and resoling costs more than the shoes did, so out they go. And a new pair comes in a box from across an ocean. But that iron last in his basement does not wear out. It resoled boots for 40 years, and it will resole yours. It is the kind of thing you find at the bottom of a dead man's workbench and almost throw out before you realize what you are holding. Do not throw it out. And the next thing in his box was the cheapest thing in it, and the one that says the most about him. Number 2 costs nothing, and you cannot buy it, which is exactly the point. It was a coffee can full of saved hardware. Every screw he ever backed out and did not need that day. Every nut, every washer, every bolt, every odd bracket and stray fitting dropped into the can and sorted by feel over the years until he could find a 5/8 washer in the dark. When something needed a fastener, Dolan did not get in the car. He reached into the can because the can already held what he needed, salvaged from things long gone. This is the habit the whole system was built to break. Packard's word for what they wanted us to become was discontented, always reaching for the new, never satisfied with the kept. The coffee can is the refusal of that, sitting on a shelf full and quiet. If you cleaned out your father's garage and found a can like that, you probably saw junk because you were taught to. Look again. That is 40 years of a man deciding every single time that what he already had was enough. There is no version of that you can buy. And it brings us to the one thing Raymond Dolan reached for more than any other tool he owned. Number 1 is a stone. An oil stone, a flat gray block for putting an edge back on steel. And it lived in the bottom of the box where his hand fell first. By the time he died, 50 years of sharpening had worn a shallow curve into the middle of it, a hollow in the shape of every blade he ever drew across it, and in a way, in the shape of his own hand. This is the whole thing, the entire ethic, ground into one piece of stone. Because a blade does not need to be replaced when it goes dull. It needs to be sharpened. The knife, the chisel, The plane iron, the axe, the hand that knew how to hold them at the right angle and draw them across the stone in a slow circle until the edge came back, sharper than anything that comes in a package. Dolan kept his edges for 50 years on a single stone that cost him almost nothing. The modern man buys his blades by the pack. He snaps in a new one and drops the old in the trash. And he does this his whole life, and he has never once kept an edge. He would not know what the hollow in the middle of Dolan's stone meant if he held it in his hand. It would just look worn out to him, the way everything looks worn out to a man who was taught that worn out means finished. To Dolan, it meant the opposite. It meant 50 years of refusing to be sold the same thing twice. And here is what I most want you to hear. That stone is the most valuable thing in the whole box, and it is the cheapest. And that is not a contradiction. The value is not in the stone. It is in the hollow. It is in the hand that wore it. You cannot buy that, and you must not throw it away, because it is the closest thing left to the man himself. When Raymond Dolan died, the toolbox went to his son, and his son by then was a man of his own time. He opened it and found tools he could not name, a stone worn into a curve he did not understand, a coffee can of hardware that looked like junk somebody should have tossed years ago. He kept the box because it was his father's, but he kept it the way you keep a photograph, up on a shelf, not the way you keep a tool. And that, more than anything the salesman did, is how the knowledge nearly died. Not thrown away, just set down and never picked back up. So here is what I would ask of you, and it is not to buy anything. Somewhere there is a box like Dolan's, your father's, your grandfather's, an old man's at an estate sale that everyone else walked past. Do not throw it out, and do not put it behind glass either. Open it, find the one tool in it you understand, and use it this week. Sharpen something on his stone. Plane a sticking door with his plane. Reach into the coffee can for the screw instead of driving to the store. The tools are not relics. They were never meant to be admired. They were meant to be held, and they still work, every one of them, which is the whole reason they are worth keeping. A thing that still works does not belong behind glass. It belongs in your hand. If recovering what our grandfathers knew is worth your time, subscribe, and the next piece of the manual will find you. There is a lot still in that box, and we are only getting started opening it. That handle is still worn down to bare metal, in the shape of a hand that is gone now. But the box is not a grave. Everything in it still does exactly what it was made to do. Pick it up. That is how you keep him.